Let's do a show. Let's do a show right now. What are we doing?
Welcome to the future, where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is annulled, and a new future is born.
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
So, you and I have talked about this over and over again, and we repeat it. Why do we repeat things? Because they're worth repeating, because repetition is the mother of knowledge or something like that. What's the old adage? I don't know. But basically, the more you hear something, the more it starts to make sense, the more it starts to click. So we talk about these things over and over again. And the bottom line is, as the world gets ready to hold its breath and see what President Trump is all about, you could almost hear the sharp intake of breath. People that are into it, they are just as much on tenterhooks as the rest of the world at the moment. It's a big, big deal. It is, well, and look, maybe it's going to be a whole lot of nothing. Maybe it'll be the proverbial storm in the teacup. But if you're like me, as we get ready to inaugurate our new president, you've heard the world collectively go, and while people are looking at this like it's the beginning or the end of the world, it's worth reminding ourselves over and over again that really it always is going to fall to you and me. We're the folks that are going to handle our own destinies. We're the folks that are going to figure out what the shape of our day is like when we get up in the morning. We're the folks that decide if we're going to win or lose. If you're counting on an elected official to make any kind of difference in your daily life, whether it is local, state, federal, president of these United States of America, and leader of the free world, if you're counting on them to make a difference in your life, well, then, as we've said many times on this show, you're on the road to disappointmentville. Population, you. And people want to believe. I don't know why it is. I don't know why people want to invest faith on the left and the right. People want to invest so much faith on in politicians and in the idea that politicians might do the right thing. I don't know if you are a lefty or a righty. We pride ourselves on bringing those folks together over universal truths like boobs are great and fart jokes are funny. But if you are on the left, there's a very good chance that you've already started looking forward to 2020 and eyeing up your Democratic hopeful. And for a lot of people, that was Senator Cory Booker. You know much about him? A lot of people thought he was awesome. A lot of people think he's awesome. He's been all about criminal justice reform. And he was a person that I think up until this past week just gone by, a lot of people were looking at being president in 2020, or at least taking a swing at it. Now, why did Hillary Clinton lose? Well, I think history will argue about this for a very long time. But there's a lot of folks, minorities, and we discussed the breakdowns. We got all the exit polling from the New York Times, like the day after it happened. Minorities like Black, Hispanic, the poor. And by poor, I mean unbelievably poor, way below poverty line. That tip of the iceberg of those voters that traditionally have always voted Democrat, or at least in our lifetimes have always voted Democrat, Trump spoke to them. Trump made them feel heard. Trump stole enough of their votes away to where Hillary Clinton lost and was seen as this kind of like out-of-touch, highfalutin politician that was maybe spending a little too much time with bankers and celebrities and had overlooked the needs of the common person. And that's something that people looked at Cory Booker and said, not him, never him. He'll never forget the little guy or girl. But, oh man, it seems as though the great hope for the Dems smoked it this past week just gone by. Now, whether people will realize he's smoking it or not is a whole other kettle of fish. But I bring this up over and over again to those people that thought, oh, our person lost, but maybe in 2020 with this person, things will be different. No. It's not going to be different. Cory Booker has great hope for a humanitarian version of the Democratic Party. Proved himself to be, well, he showed his stripes, his true colors. And it turns out it's a lot like everybody else. How so? How did Cory Booker blow it, and how did he prove my theory that a politician is on the side of a politician? We'll get into that next.
Let's start the show. Radio.
104.1. Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
So as you and I were talking about, as we've been talking about for a long time, as history will probably repeat over and over again. I think in 2016, the election came down to Wall Street versus Main Street. Look, those folks that Democratic politicians have always been able to count on, those minorities, those disenfranchised, poor, needy, folks that Democrats have always been able to look at and go, that's a knee-jerk reactionary vote. We'll talk about social programs. We'll talk about free phones. We'll talk about all these things that we can provide for those that are down on their luck. And the Republicans are busy talking about the free market economy and how you got to pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. These people that are in trouble, that need a hand up, well, we know we can count on them. Hillary couldn't count on them. Enough of them abandoned the Democratic ship to give Trump the presidency. He made people on Main Street feel remembered, spoken to, like they counted, like they mattered, when they hadn't in a long time. And Hillary Clinton, well, people saw her as being more concerned with Wall Street than Main Street. It's a cute little homily. It's a bit of a cliche, but it really kind of accurately sums up what happened over the last 18 months or so. Now, if you've listened to the show for any length of time, you know that I submit to you over and over again, they're all politicians. They're all out for themselves. I never will forget when I was a kid, teenager, and a giant corporation, big record company, came to me and wanted to sign me. We had like a music industry lawyer. We had all this stuff, but my dad's a lawyer. And I asked him, I was like, what do I have to remember? I mean, I don't know anything about negotiating. He was like, the best thing to remember about negotiating is that no one's going to look after your interests the way you are going to look after your own interests. No one knows what matters to you the way you do. And that's stuck in my head ever since. No one's going to look after your own interests the way you are going to look after your own interests. And hey, like I said, we are the people that get up in the morning and decide how our day is going to go. Not Trump, not Clinton, not Cory Booker. And conversely, well, politicians thinking the same thing too. I think in theory, they have to pretend to take a bit of an interest in the people that they are serving, the people whose money pays their salaries. But in reality, no one cares about their interests the way they do. It's going to be top of their mind. It's interesting because you would think that being a public servant, that would be the most self-sacrificial mindset in the world. You're willing to put everybody before your own needs. And that's what a public servant should be. That's what a politician should be. Just, based on your gut feeling about politicians, when you look at them, how many of them do you go, oh yeah, they're definitely putting my needs in front of theirs? I guess that's a pretty short list. And people are looking on the left to Cory Booker to lead whatever the next round of Democratic presidential hopefuls was going to be. And here I am with proof positive that, what is he? Well, ultimately, when it comes down to it, everything else aside, he's a politician. Now, a lot of people are scared about a lot of things at the moment. But if I talk to my friends that are concerned about their future, it's the ones with health concerns. Obamacare's being dismantled as we speak. That's a thing that's about to be a thing of the past. And whether you liked Obamacare, whether you liked the Affordable Care Act, whether you thought that worked for you or not, I don't know. But the idea that we were promised a seamless transition between this and something else, if you're like me, you feel like we haven't heard a whole lot about the something else. And people are concerned about the future. Whether they thought Obamacare was the worst thing ever or whether it really worked for them. And I know people that fall into both categories. For me, it wasn't a thing. I remember right around the time it started becoming a thing, I was like, let's see what this is all about. I was still an independent contractor at the time, paid for my own health insurance. It wasn't through any company. I was like, all right, I guess I gotta, all right, yeah. And I don't remember the exact experience. I just know that I spent an awful lot of time on the phone getting nowhere. And then right as I was trying to get it figured out, I accepted a job in middle management and all that stuff was decided for me. But anyways, the bottom line is people are scared. People don't know what the future will bring. People feel as though their lives hang in the balance. And Cory Booker, man of the people, the People's Party, had a chance to be a part of Main Street instead of Wall Street throughout this dismantling and chose to do the exact opposite thing.
Stimulated minds want to know, what were you thinking? No, really, give us a call and tell us. KPRC, AM 950.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of you guys out there in Radio Land. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah. Give it up, yeah. Bring this on. Come on.
So how did yet another politician show their true colors? Show that they were bailing on Main Street so they could cozy up to Wall Street? All right, we've been talking about Cory Booker, who, if you're just joining the show, is, and if you're not a lefty, or if you're not a person that follows the lefties, this guy, for a lot of people, was the great presidential hopeful for the year 2020. And, well, a lot of people felt like he was a reasonable person of the people. They felt that Hillary was out of touch with the everyday human being. Bernie Sanders represented just something that was too much of a reach for a lot of people to be able to envision and be comfortable with. Cory Booker, he's a slam dunk. This is going to work. He cares about people. He cares about me. Does he, though? Does he? Only because, well, if you've been following it, a lot of people are scared. A lot of people are scared about the future moving forward with regard to their health, specifically their health insurance. The Senate is going all in on basically trying to destroy any previous evidence of the fact that Obamacare ever existed. Repealing Obamacare. And Democrats have been in there fighting for little pieces of it, trying to hold on to it. And it's not really working out. They've been offering these little amendments that have essentially just died on the vine. But you know what? There was this one amendment. There was this one amendment that was all set to stick it to Big Pharma. I'll never forget filling my first prescription when I moved from England to here. Now, say what you will about socialized medicine in England, but one thing I can tell you about drug prices in England, when I got the flu, when I got a cold, and I would go to get penicillin, you know what it cost me? Between £3.50 and £10, depending on the antibiotic. $15 or so. That's what it cost. And I remember saying, boy, this stuff is more expensive in America. And they were like, yeah, no, this is what it costs. This is what it costs for this medicine. That's how much these antibiotics are worth. And that's why we're charging you that amount for them. And you know who has more reasonable prices on things like medication, life-saving medication that'll stop your cough, medication that are simple, medications that are simple like antibiotics, like cough medicine, like everything that you need from your daily existence to just get through the day whilst avoiding the sniffles, to things that could potentially save your life if you have cancer or heart failure. Prescription drugs in Canada, significantly less pricey. And Bernie Sanders had this, I guess really you would call this free trade. He had this free trade idea to allow importation of prescription drugs from Canada. And you know what? While people are scared about their health moving forward, there's one little glimmer of hope on the horizon. Look, whether you're on the right or the left, healthcare in this country is not a thing that gives you a tremendous amount of confidence. When I look at friends of mine that are Marine veterans with jobs that come with health insurance, that still have to crowdfund their cancer treatment, I go, between the VA and the fact that they work for a large corporation and have the insurance that it all comes to, you would not think that they'd have to have fundraising barbecues in order to be able to cope with their illness. But they do. And people are scared, and justifiably so. Yet there's this little glimmer of hope on the horizon. Reduced medication costs for Americans thanks to the importation of prescription drugs from Canada. This little amendment, this little glimmer of hope. And you know what? You know who voted for it? You know who voted it in? Republicans, that's who. 12 of them voted for it. 12 Republicans voted in this idea of getting cheaper prescription meds from Canada. It's a slam dunk. It was going to happen. All we need now is for Democrats to support it. Well, it's got Democrats all over it. We're getting cheaper meds. We're getting affordable health care by importing from a country that has socialized medicine. This has the fingerprints of the Democratic Party all over it. Oh. But then the hopeful, the man of the people, Senator Booker, Cory Booker. Oh. Well, let's see. He joined with a lot of Democrats that cozied up to Wall Street instead of remembering Main Street. Smacked it down. Making sure that Americans will continue to pay what is, did you know this? We pay the highest prices on prescription drugs in the world. And we will continue paying that thanks to Senator Booker Now, where does Booker hang out? Let's see, Jersey Democratic senators. Oh, what's in Jersey? You ever taken a ride through New Jersey? Seen some of the large companies that are headquartered there? Oh, let's see. I remember from driving to the Jersey Shore, you just see these companies by the side of the road. When I lived in New York City, I would go, go to a casino and then hang out by the Jersey Shore before it became what it is, and then I stopped doing that. But I remember seeing Novo Nordisk and Novartis and Johnson & Johnson. And these Democratic senators, folks like Cory Booker, this man of the people, we find that there's been a lot of lining of campaign finance coffers over the years. Hey, what are we worried about? What's the company line on this one? Well, safety. Really comes down to the safety of our people. We care about the people. We don't know what's in these drugs that are coming across a border from Canada. Because, you frequently see Canadians walking around with extra heads from their cheap prescription medication. No, it was about one thing and one thing only. It was about serving yourself. And I know it sounds like if Cory Booker is your guy, sorry, too bad so sad, I'm sorry. I'm not picking specifically on him. He is what everybody is in this situation. He's a politician. And he is like all of us, out for himself. So bear in mind. Next time you feel tempted to place stock and faith in the promises of a politician, no matter who they are. Look, people on the left need the idea of a savior, of a rescuer. A lot of people on the left feel like there are dark days upon us and that they need some sort of glimmer of hope on the horizon. And it's not uncommon for that glimmer of hope to be a person. You want to put your faith in a person. You want to put your faith in a public servant. And I guess in a very roundabout way, what we're saying here is, well, folks like Cory Booker smacked down something that could have made it easier and more affordable for people to hold on to their lives. That glimmer of hope. If you feel times are dark, that glimmer of hope always should be you. It always should be you. All right, Funkhauser, what's going on in the world?
Oh, so many things. Hello, how are you? Good, awesome.
Hello.
After 146 years, Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus will close for good in May.
Yeah.
Release the hounds and the elephants and the monkeys.
It turns out nobody's paying to see a circus anymore when you can just turn on cable news.
Fake news. Fake.
You ever been to Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus, Funkhauser?
Probably. I can't remember if it was that or Circus Vargas as a kid. I can't remember. But yeah, I used to go to the circus.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing that you, me, all of us grew up with. But, I think there's less and less demand to see that sort of thing. People have evolved. Their tastes have evolved. Their sense of humanity toward the animals in the show has evolved. It was just a little while ago they said, okay, yeah, no more elephants in the show. Now, no more show. I wonder if it was because without the elephants, they didn't have a show anymore. Do you think that was it?
Probably. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe just declined.
Look, I went once, and there's entire shows of arguments about how well animals are cared for in captivity and situations like that. But I remember going to see the circus maybe about 10 years ago and being like, I don't feel good about what I just saw. I don't. I believe that there is an incredible bond between humans and animals, and I'm not doubting that the trainers have that with the animals that are in it, but it didn't sit well with me, just personally speaking. I was like, so unsurprising. And the practical upshot of it is, well, if you want to go see bearded ladies, it's back to watching Kardashians. Go on.
The stock market continues to hover at all-time highs.
Yeah, how about that? Donald Trump says that Barack Obama deserves the credit since he's technically still president. Kidding. He was like, it's all me, biatch. It's all me. Hey, man. Homeboy that runs Ford was like, hey, we have a president that wants to build up the economy. This should be music to our ears. So there you go. And hear me on this. I'm not coming out as pro-Trump, but like I said, if there's good to celebrate, celebrate it. And we're going to be looking for any kind of good that we can over the next couple of years. We really are. Just because, like I said, collective intake of breath in this situation. People that are all about Trump are still like, okay, let's see how it's going to go. It's going to be interesting times, and all of us will need any kind of silver lining that we can find. In the stock market, hovering at all-time highs, bazinga. I think we can take that as a good thing. What else?
GOP senators ordered 100 pizzas during their all-night session to repeal Obamacare.
Uh-huh. When asked what he's going to do with the tip, the delivery guy was like, well, I'll spend it on health insurance. Go on.
The United States Mint will release a commemorative $100 gold coin that depicts Lady Liberty as an African-American woman.
Oh, no kidding. Well, you know what? That totally makes sense. It was only going to be a matter of time until Beyonce got her own money. Stack those coins up to the left, Go on.
I'm just thinking about it. Okay, I'm over it. Jack Daniels is selling a whiskey-flavored coffee that is non-alcoholic.
Mm-hmm. Just like the coffee that's sitting on my boss's office desk right now, except for the non-alcoholic part. I wonder if it's solely like so you can go into work and get tanked and be like, are you drinking? No, this is the non-alcoholic whiskey-flavored coffee. So you think I'm lit on the job because this position is meaningless and soul-destroying, but this is really just the smell that Jack Daniels put into my coffee. Yeah. It'll never fly, Orville.
I grew up in the suburbs. I went to private school. I stayed mostly out of trouble. Mostly I obeyed the rules. Upper middle class, so you know I'm not down. Still taking number one, I'm rocking this town. Put your hands up.
Real radio. Yo. Real radio.
104.1.
Now, more AD on the radio.
So, sometimes jokes just write themselves. Rob Schneider took it upon himself to school U.S. Congressman John Lewis about Martin Luther King Jr. on MLK Day, and we'll talk about that after Funkhauser takes us through the remainder of the news. What else is going on, Funkhauser?
Def Leppard and Poison and Tesla are touring together.
Wow.
I should have used this. That's breaking news.
Yeah.
Hip breaking. Oh.
God, that's cheap. I believe that you can't just buy tickets, though. You have to, well, there's some other hoops you got to jump through if you want to go see Def Leppard, Poison, and Tesla. Like showing the title to your 86 Camaro. Have you ever seen any of those bands, Funkhauser?
I met Rick Allen.
The drummer from Def Leppard?
Yep.
The guy who overcame unbeatable odds and was, without the benefit of two arms, not only able to play drums on platinum albums, but also able to strangle his wife. It's true.
Unbeatable odds. Was that? Did you start that off with a pun, or did you mean to do that?
Not intentionally. Like, and look, Rick Allen, drummer from Def Leppard, who abused his wife without the benefit of both hands, managed to get her in a chokehold. He has, let's be clear on this one. He's apologized left, right, and center. He said he was a very angry alcoholic, and he did some horrible things. And now he kind of tries to give back, I suppose, atone for the horrible things he did to his wife through music therapy. So there's that. But yeah, I remember when it happened, someone was like, he that's terrible. That's awful. Because everybody was so on this guy's side. Everyone was so on this dude's side because, like, oh my gosh, he plays drums with one arm. He thought he was over and done with. He didn't take no for an answer. He didn't take losing an arm for an answer. He didn't let that end what he was all about. No. He soldiered on. And everybody was like, go, Rick, go, Rick, go, Rick. Oh, man. He did what? To who? Well, that's a terrible, terrible thing. Ooh, that really sucked all the air out of the room.
Yeah.
So if you're going to that tour, try
him.
not to be distracted from the music that you grew up loving. You met him? Yeah?
I met him. Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't beat me up.
Right. Well.
It was years later.
Yeah. And also, you're not a woman. So there's that. Yeah, it's not like,
hey, here's who's a woman.
It's not like a woman beating coward is going to open up and let the blows rain down on.
I'm trying to think how I met him. Like, he wasn't there.
Yeah,
to
how did you meet
anything.
him?
I think he was just hanging out. I'm at a radio station again. Here I am in front of a microphone.
Go on. What else?
Lindsay Lohan may have converted to Islam.
Oh, she has a religion to go with her new accent. Like, she has that weird Middle Eastern accent that she picked up. Like, she's talking like this. Honestly, like this weird, like, Funkhauser, maybe try and find some audio. Could you? I know I'm springing that on you, but it's just the most peculiar thing. Just Google Lindsay Lohan's new accent, and like a bazillion things will come up. But yeah, Lindsay Lohan might have converted to Islam. And you know what? Some parts of that won't be an adjustment at all. She's used to being on her knees multiple times a day. Hey, yo. Go on. Did you find the audio?
I said, maybe there's something for me to do more here so that I have a reason to come back. And Athens, my first time coming to Athens, Dennis is my friend. And that's all he is my friend and business partner. But his mother became a very close person to me, and his sister as well.
What the hell is that?
Is she from Southern California? Isn't
no,
that right?
She's from Long Island.
Like, have really incorporated me into their life. And when I went through hardships with my ex, I found really good family in these people from Greece.
It's like this French Middle Eastern hybrid. I went to school with kids that had that accent. Like, it's just very, very bizarre. And by the way, the kids that I went to school with were French and Middle Eastern. Like, it's just, yeah. How does that happen, Funkhauser?
I don't know. I mean, I had an ex that pretended to be like she was, sounded like she had a New York accent, but never went. She just watched a lot of Fran Drescher and Golden Girls.
Picture it, Sicily, 19... See, I mean, like, when I first started, and by the way, pot, kettle black, because my accent has gone through a bit of an evolution. But nothing like that. It's just, I'm half English, half American. I grew up back and forth between England and America, primarily in England. And so when I first started in radio, I had this weird English-American hybrid accent. And I'll never forget, my first program director came to me and said, you know, you got this Anglo-American thing going on. People might mistake that for Canadian, and we can't have that. So why don't you just, whatever accent comes more naturally to you, pick that and stick with it. And so, yeah, it's like I never had a full English accent, so I just consciously weeded out the oi-ois and now then. I was about that and Bob's Runkle out of the conversation. And became sort of fully fledged American in my speaking voice. So, you know, pot, kettle black, glass houses, throw stones.
Where you're from. You sound a little Houston sometimes, a little New York sometimes.
Are you kidding me? I sound Houston?
Sometimes.
I feel like, I realized that I'd spent a long time in Houston when I started saying y'all unironically. Like, it was just... So there's that. Yeah, there you go. Go on.
Rapper Young Thug faces arrest after failing to show up in court to fix a ticket for tinted windows. Been there, dude. Been there.
Young Thug arrested because he didn't show up in court. Didn't want to fix that ticket for his illegally tinted windows. In his defense, well, his defense is in his name. He's young, and he's a thug.
Don't you just need to know a police officer and they'll write it off? Isn't that how that
I'll
works?
take unsurprising stories about rappers for 1,000, Alex. Go on.
Ding, ding. Police have charged 4 of the 16 suspects arrested for robbing Kim Kardashian.
Yeah, and it would have been a lot easier to identify these individuals if she stuck to her habit of videotaping the men in her bedroom. Go on.
Betty White is 95 years young today.
No kidding.
Happy birthday.
I wonder how she's going to be celebrating. Probably by outliving a few more friends. Go on.
Some people think Elvis visited Graceland on his birthday.
Oh, yeah. Idiots. It wasn't Elvis. It was Bigfoot.
So every time I'm out, I get talking to people who say you got plenty to say about me. So how come you never ever seem to want to say it to my face? Radio!
104.1. There's something happening here, and you should know what it is.
The Dumbing Up of America. Now, more AD on the radio.
So as you and I have discussed over the last couple of days, Funkhauser is on the prowl. He is once again looking for romantic female companionship. And I got to ask you, as a guy that has been in as long as I've known you, you're kind of a serial monogamist. You're only in long-term relationships. And we won't dig around into
That's all right, dig away.
Well, how long... What the hell are we listening to?
The soundtrack in my head as a single guy. I keep her. Anyway.
Very good. I'm glad that's a soundtrack in your head. I like to think now whenever I see you walking down a hallway, that's the music that'll be playing in my head. How long does it take you? You got to turn that down. It's distractingly cool. Like, okay. I want to talk, and I'm just like, this kicks ass. How long does it take for the honeymoon period to end? Because, like, you go through, like I said, serial monogamist. So you're in long-term committed relationships. At what stage does the, no, you're so
I
pretty,
never know.
I like you thing go away?
The googly eyes and the butterflies?
Yeah, the honeymoon period.
I think a series of events need to happen in order for it to just fizzle away, like rain on a campfire.
But if you had to put,
there wasn't an exact
expiration date on the Super Happy Good Times.
Oh, probably like 80% in. I think once the cup's mostly full, then you
a month, 2 months, 6 months.
Like 6 months, 8 months.
6 months, 6 to 8 months. That's just long enough to really be committed as well. Like the that honeymoon period ending after you're like, oh, I've got 6 or 8 months in this, and we mostly live at each other's places, and it'd be it's not as good as I thought it was. But now I'm committed, so I need to ride this out and double down on the commitment and see where it goes. At what stage in the game do you think you reach the point where you can literally argue about anything?
Probably about 3 months in, I think.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah.
That early?
Well, I'm a gun jumper, obviously.
Well, here's the thing. I think you get to a point in a relationship where you can literally argue at any time about anything.
We've been married for 10 years, and we still fight. Like, you can, when you're married, fighting is open 24 hours, anytime. We got in a fight recently at 3 a.m. We woke up to get in this fight, and we live in Nashville, and we have a dog that freaks out when it thunders. So it was like thundering. So we have sedatives to give her because there's only so many times you can tell a dog it's just thunder before you're like, just take this. Hope this works. I'm not going to hold you through it, you know. So I wake up. And I had asked my wife, I was like, hey, where are the sedatives at? And she was like, they're at the top of the cabinet. So I go get them. When I get them, I looked at the bottle, and the bottle said they were expired. So I had to, like, wake her back up. And I was like, hey, these say they're expired. And she was, like, annoyed. She was like, they're not expired. Those are new pills in an old pill bottle. And I was like, all right, you know, I should have thought of that. That's my fault. People come to our house all the time and they get milk and they're like, is this milk expired? And I have to go, that's new milk in an old milk jug. Are you the stupidest person I've ever met in my life? How could you not figure that out?
The great Nate Bargates on the inevitability of relationships. How much time do we have left, Funkhauser?
About 9.
About 9 minutes?
9.
About 9. So when I'm in California, I live not far away from where the Chargers used to lose. Uh-oh. And, well, no, here's the thing. You know who else plays there?
Who?
College football games, all sorts of college football games, primarily SDSU games. And you know what I dislike intensely about college football versus regular football? I don't know if maybe the Chargers felt like they just had nothing to celebrate, or they were sort of like easing out of, they're like, hey, we're definitely out of the honeymoon period. What you don't know is we got one foot out the door and we're about to leave you and break up with you over Twitter. But the thing about like the Chargers games is there would be some fireworks, not a lot of fireworks, a little bit of fireworks. And Milhouse, the Mets rally puppy, A, is more about baseball, obviously, than he is about football. B, doesn't care for fireworks. Upsetting to him. Of course, it wasn't that big of a deal when the Chargers were playing. No biggie. Occasional fireworks. Maybe once or twice a game were there fireworks. And maybe that speaks to the lack of touchdowns. I don't know. I do know this, though. SDSU, college football games, and I asked somebody, I was like, why are there so many freaking fireworks at college football games? They didn't have this for the NFL games that were played in the exact same place, so why does it sound like the world is blowing up every 5 seconds when there's college football games there, and why is my dog a frothy mess? Why do I have to sit there holding him going, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay? And I feel terrible for him because, like, really, there's like the guy said, there's absolutely no way you can explain the situation to a dog adequately. Doesn't understand, won't understand. And, you know, it's tough. And it just seems so over the top. When it's once or twice a game during an NFL game, that's not that big of a deal. But it's the perpetual nature of the fireworks that gets him more and more agitated. When it's just once or twice a game, I'm mad. Fine. But when it's over and over again, it's genuine fight or flight, and he really kind of freaks out. It's not good times for him. It's not good times for me. And I asked a buddy of mine, I was like, why are there so many freaking fireworks during college football games? And my buddy was like, they're all millennials. They need like a fireworks display every single time they successfully tie their own shoelaces on that football field. So you're just going to have to deal with it. I was like, I wonder if there's any truth to that. And he's like, it could also because they have a chance of winning and the Chargers never did. And I was like, yeah, okay. All right, then. Hey, speaking of unwinnable situations.
Well, this is going to be great.
Well, if you haven't been paying attention, Donald Trump got into a mini war with Georgia Congressman John Lewis over the weekend. Started when Lewis said he didn't see Trump as a legitimate president. And by the way, look, a definition of a legitimate president, who even knows what that is? And there's people that will tweet me incessantly being like, what he meant was this. And like, here's the thing. The whole hashtag not my president when it was Obama and now when it's going to be Trump. Saying not my president, you do yourself no favors by going, this has nothing to do with me. Saying not my president, denial. Funkhauser, if you have weeds in your garden,
yeah,
you're an avid gardener, and if you just say not my weeds, what's going to happen to your crop of tomatoes and butter lettuce?
Well, they're all going to die.
Yeah, exactly.
Suffocation.
Saying hashtag not my president is like saying hashtag not my weeds ruining the crop. Not saying hashtag not my president is the equivalent of saying hashtag not my precancerous goiter that I definitely need to get checked out. That doesn't exist. I'm just going to ignore it till I can vote in a different growth. No. Reality is what reality is. And I'm not saying I'm not standing up for anyone or against anyone. I'm just saying this is a part of the reality moving forward. And the sticking your head in the sand attitude, I just can't see that serving people really well. Anyways, this mini war between Trump and Lewis started when Lewis said he didn't see Trump as a legitimate president. Trump went after him on Twitter, saying he should pay more attention to his district, which is in horrible shape, and then said that Lewis is, quote, all talk, no action or results. Whether or not Lewis should have said what he said, Trump got some real blowback for all that, for the all talk, no action comment. Lewis was a colleague of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and he was on the front lines of the civil rights movement with him. He put his life on the line. Suffered more than one severe beating for what he did in the name of civil rights. Who's appropriate to weigh in on this situation, Funkhauser? Is it or is it not making copies guy from SNL? Is it, oh no, we suck again guy from... Is it the guy that has made an entire career out of writing it?
You can do it.
You can do it. Oh no, we suck again. Guy that's made an entire career out of hanging around on Adam Sandler's coattails. Rob Schneider. Yes, Rob Schneider. Big screen male gigolo, minor member of Adam Sandler's comedy stable. On Martin Luther King Day, Rob tweeted, Representative Lewis, you are a great person, but Dr. King didn't give in to his anger or his hurt. That is how he accomplished and won civil rights. Yeah. Deuce Bigelow, male gigolo, felt that he could and should explain the civil rights movement to a man that was actually part of that movement, shed blood for it. The internet obviously had something to say about it. Like the guy who told Rob, quote, don't white-splain MLK to the man who literally sat at the table with MLK. Or the shorter and sweeter request, you shouldn't talk again ever. And another classic, who on God's green earth even asked your opinion on the civil rights movement? Crawl back to the end credits of another Adam Sandler movie. Now, all of this is in some way, shape, or form legitimate. Rob Schneider did something that was obviously incredibly short-sighted. If he thought about that tweet, thought it was going to go well, and hit send, that shows a significant lack of forethought on his part. Or maybe a lack of perspective, or maybe a lack of recognition of his place in the world. And I wish he would have done it differently. Why? His incredibly poorly thought out words when it came to specifically Representative Lewis and Martin Luther King aside, remove Lewis from the equation. Take out a couple words from this tweet. And you got some real solid advice that has been and was obscured by the ridiculousness of the whole situation and the lack of perspective that Rob Schneider demonstrates he has. Dr. King didn't give in to his anger or his hurt. when you take out the parts that are patently silly and offensive and poorly timed, you have a really, really compelling argument. And one that, on a different day, maybe we all would have listened to. And after the snarking is over and done with, maybe we could all remember that one part of it. That one part of it that was so well-intentioned yet so poorly timed. Dr. King didn't give in to his anger or his hurt. And maybe we can take that and remember that as we move into our week. Thank you so much for hanging out.